Comments, the honourable member for Timmons, James Bay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have another event of I'm going to huff, I'm going to puff, and then I'm going to go off and have a fundraiser and some mojitos at Storway while the poor backbenchers dutifully follow through. So do you remember when he said that he was going to speak until the budget fell? And that was about 3 hours, then he left. And remember when we had to vote all the way to Christmas? And the only time we ever saw him in the House was to vote against Ukraine. So we had 9 confidence votes on Monday. He was hiding behind the screen. Tonight we will have votes. So here's the question. At Dairy Queen, I don't know what got him fired, but if you work for a living, you have to show up. So will he show up tonight, or will he be off fundraising with his lobbyist friends and leaving his poor schleps on the backbench to do the heavy lifting of bringing down the government and forcing an election? Show up for work.
So this has been happening in the previous question and in the previous answer as well. So I just want to remind members, if they are not recognized, they shouldn't be speaking, and it is very disrespectful to do so. I know that a while ago there was a question asked, and the person who asked the question was trying to intervene again, even though he hadn't been recognized, and others were trying to answer questions when someone was trying to pose a question. So I would just remind members to please be respectful in the House. The honourable member, leader of the official opposition. Order, order.
Showing up for work means showing up for the people you work for. And I have to say, I've been more in his riding in the last 2 years than he has. I've been on the ground in Timmons, and they say in Timmons, they say he should be in the witness protection program. He doesn't live in his riding. He's never in his riding. He's forgotten about the miners and the forestry workers and the farmers. He's voted to raise their taxes, to raise tax on their home heating, so that the people in cold Northern Ontario have to suffer in the cold and pay higher taxes, and now he's going to vote for his master, the Prime Minister of Canada, rather than the people in Timmons. I will fight for the people of Timmons, here, everywhere, and always. Yeah.
Members, if they've had an opportunity to order.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. Today is a huge day for Canada. This was posted from Pierre Poilievre this morning. Trudeau and the NDP voted against our call to spike the hike and axe the tax. That was yesterday. So today, now, common sense conservatives will move on a non-confidence vote in Trudeau's government so Canadians can decide. And of course, you can sign to support our call for a carbon tax election. It is just crazy. He's speaking right now in the House of Commons, and we're going to watch that, just the piece with Pierre Poilievre. But check this out. This is the schedule for the House of Commons, for everybody sitting. So they sit from Monday to Friday. Where do you think Justin Trudeau is? Oh, it's his day off. Takes the day off. He's probably doing damage control because the Liberal NDP party is falling apart. Here is Pierre Poilievre. Put on your seatbelts, people. He is on fire today.
Now in English, Mr. Speaker. After 8 years, it is clear that this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the cost, the crime, or the corruption. But never would we have imagined how bad would things get. Today, I look at the newspaper headlines. Even the media is noticing how bad things are. A headline in the National Post, and I quote, "Secret RCMP report warns Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are." The RCMP has produced a report saying that Canadians are so poor, desperate, and miserable that it may lead to political instability and other turbulence that you could not even have imagined would occur in a first world country 8 years ago. I now turn my attention to the Globe and Mail. Remember, this is the same Globe and Mail that criticized me for using the term gatekeeper to describe how homes could not get built. Well, here's their headline today. Home ownership is turning into a gated community that renters can't join. So years after saying that it was very dangerous for us to talk about gatekeepers, the Globe and Mail has now awakened to the fact that the Prime Minister in 8 years has turned home ownership into a gated community, shutting people outside of the gates. A small privileged group gets richer and richer as a growing mass of working class youth and seniors renting apartments can no longer afford any place to live. I used to warn that there were 35-year-olds living in their parents' basements. Now, that's the least of our concerns. Now we're worried that those 35-year-olds and their parents might not be able to make their mortgage payments at all. Defaults are rising rapidly. We have 35 homeless encampments in Halifax and similar encampments now in every major centre in Canada. We have 2 million people lined up at food banks in scenes that are reminiscent of the Great Depression. 35% of charities now say they're turning away people because they no longer have the resources, and food bank shelves are emptying out. Then you have people who are eating out of garbage cans. 8,000 people now having joined something called the Dumpster Divers Network, a Facebook group where they share tips on how you can climb into a garbage can and pull a meal out because there's nothing you can afford at the grocery store and nothing left at the food bank. This year, groceries are going to cost $700 more than they did last year for the average family. And in the middle of all of this, what does the NDP and this Prime Minister choose? To raise taxes. Raise taxes on food and fuel, on heat and homes. Raise taxes on all the materials that go into building a home, which will raise taxes on all who buy the home. Raise taxes on heating that home. Raise taxes on the gas and diesel needed to get to work to earn a paycheck to make payments on that home. And raise taxes on the farmers who make the food, the truckers who ship the food, the grocers who sell the food, and therefore all who buy the food, as if the desperation were not bad enough. And this in light of all the evidence that has come out that now 60% of Canadians are paying more in carbon tax than they get back in rebates. A fact that I have read into this record time and time again, a fact that the Prime Minister continues to attempt to hide from, a fact that the Parliamentary Budget Officer just testified to, and a fact that we did not need all of those accurate calculations to know, because every single person who's opening their empty fridge to wonder how they're going to feed their kids already knew that fact was real. Madam Speaker, we cannot in good conscience stand by while this Prime Minister imposes more misery and suffering on the Canadian people. Canadians are good, they are decent, they are hardworking, they do not have to give up on the things they used to take for granted, affordable food and homes, just for the incompetence of ego of one man. He is not worth the cost. He is not worth the crime. He is not worth the corruption. He is not worth giving up the country that we knew and still love. We as common sense Conservatives are ready to restore hope in this country, but it starts with change. We rise today to vote non-confidence in this NDP Liberal government and to restore the great country that we love based on the common sense of the common people united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home.
Hear, hear. It's unbelievable. It truly is astounding. Like, look over here. Look over on this side. Nobody is there. Where is the Prime Minister of Canada? Where is Justin Trudeau? I hope right now that he is mulling over resigning. His experts are telling him, all of his consultants, contractors and consultants, are telling him he has to resign because Canada is boiling over. And the best part about the speech from Pierre Poilievre is when he says, we didn't need all of these facts on record. We didn't need any of that stuff because Canadians know when they open the fridge, when they pay their bills, when they go out in this world, our world, the reality that we live in, we know that it is a tax. It is a wealth transfer tax, and it is not just the carbon tax. It is all the taxes. It costs way too much to live in Canada. All of the bills, all of the taxes, they need to get a hold of this country to be competitive in this world that we're going into, because it ain't working. This Canada is not working anymore. We're not working because it is not working, and because Justin Trudeau is not working. Follow me on Substack and Spotify. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.